Welcome to another episode of Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.
So today we're going to talk about the 5 ways to build your accessory business. You're going to want to tune in. You're going to write some of this stuff down. We're also going to talk a little bit about Cliff's obsession with alligators and how hard it is to get him to actually take time off. We are going to work through some of the construction that we've got here at Chris Collins headquarters. So if you see people walking around behind me, don't be too worried about it. They're not trying to kidnap me. All that and more coming up today on Parts Hold. So one of the things I've been bugging you about for a while is to actually take a little vacation. You finally have taken me up on this offer.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you did.
Man, we had a great week. Went down to Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. Just hung out on the beach. Got up early in the morning so I could be by myself. It's just something I like to do, to get out on the beach, walk around, get in the water a little bit. It was an awesome time. The only thing that I missed is two of my kids weren't able to be there. They're grown, so they had their grown-up things to do. But it was a good time to be with my girls.
Yeah, and one of the things through our conversation that's gotten really interesting is that one of your, I don't know if it's like a bucket list thing, but like you want to rustle an alligator. Is that true?
Yeah, so I love the marsh. That's probably my favorite thing about the coast. I love being in the marsh, walking around in the marsh. I think I've got one. I think I could take it. I grew up watching Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. I think I learned enough that I think I could control him.
So you understand that, like, at the off chance you're wrong, the penalty is pretty high, right?
Yeah, that's not. It's a pretty safe bet that if I am wrong, might not make it out of there.
Yeah. So I love that you're like, I think I can take him. I don't know if that's enough for me.
I feel like I got some wheels though. Like I feel like I could get out of the way.
I've seen you in a dead sprint, like you're 11 miles an hour. So I've heard alligators go as fast as 15 miles an hour. So you might be 4 miles an hour short on that. But again, who knows? You'll probably be okay.
That math doesn't work.
Yeah, that's so great. I last weekend I did the whole I've got my almost 10-year-old is one of my favorite things about the summertime is that I get to have him come and hang out with me in California for the month. And we are now 2 weekends in a row. We've gone to the water park out here. So it's so interesting. Like, it's not like I wake up every morning, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel old. But the day after the water park, by golly, I sure do feel old. And I remember as a youngster, the things that used to be really fun are now just like they're pains. But we each did this slide that has essentially you kind of sit on it. It's probably like this angle. It's pretty aggressive. And then there's a trap door, and essentially the trap door falls out and you go down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we both did that back to back. And he, last year we went to the same water park, and he got up to the ride and then chickened out. And like I walked with him all the way down the stairs and everything like that because he didn't want to do it. And he comes back to me. He's like, okay, this year I need to do that. Like I have to tackle that thing, which I don't know. That's kind of a proud moment as a father. But my favorite thing about this is, so he did it this year, no complaining, no crying. He did scream. I heard him scream when he was going down when the trapdoor opened. And we both he went first. I went second right after him. He laughed when I went down and I splashed, as I got to the bottom of the slide and everything like that. I'm like, okay, Rayland, you want to do that again? He's like, no.
One and done, man. I'm good.
He's like, I conquered the fear, basically, is what he tells me. So it's like, it's funny how sometimes like the kids are 10 going on 30. Like, it's so crazy to me.
You chalk it up to a big win. Like, I made the decision, I went through with it, I did it, and now I'm good. I don't need to do it again. I'm okay.
Yeah, so I actually think that that's super logical, right? So he's like, well, there's a little bit of risk associated with that, but now that I've conquered the fear, I don't feel the need to take on the risk anymore. Like it was really advanced logical thinking, or it just scared the crap out of him and he decided he didn't want to do it again.
Either way, he conquered the fear. I think that's a big deal, especially for him to go back a year later. Like he's literally probably thought about it all year of not being able, or wanting to go back and redo it.
Yeah. And I don't know, to me, that's kind of a proud moment as a parent. So, but yeah, it's, I know the days are coming, Cliff, where I'm in the same situation you are, where you're, getting close to that empty nest situation. I mean, Brooklyn is, she's getting older and I think that like, that's your last one. And, I know that time is coming. I'm already kind of accepting that I'm not as cool as I used to be, but like, the whole of them moving out of the house and, going to college, joining military, like that's how you've withstood it. And the parent that you are is really awesome. But
it's fun because we've had the conversation about getting older multiple times. And I feel like there was a time where you said, somebody would see you with a small child and they would go, oh, enjoy that while you can, because it doesn't happen very long. And you're like, yeah, whatever, that's old people talk. And then you realize that they're, as big as you are, and I'm not a huge guy, but my boys are both taller than me. I'm 6 foot and they're, I'm looking up to them. So it's it happens so quick overnight. And even, yesterday we were talking and I could see how much he had grown in just on a camera thing.
Yeah, he's a couple of years away from catching me. And I think he'll be 12 years old and probably close to my height.
Last year, I think I was there in town when he was in town.
Oh, that's right. You were, weren't you?
But you could tell even on video how much longer his arms were. He's filling out. So yeah, he'll start growing up again. And yeah, it's a weird feeling. Yeah.
And one thing that kid loves is accessories, which brings us to our topic of the day. So the 5 keys to building your accessory business. I've been really excited about this one because I know that you're going to kind of carry the heavy lifting on this, but to me, I'm a fan of the accessory business. I think that it's an opportunity for so many of our clients, and sometimes we think about it more as a pain as opposed to a profit center. And I think that we as at the dealership world, our parts departments are not recognizing just how much people are personalizing their vehicles, and that the parts department should and can be the key to that, right?
Yeah, I think if you look in any retail establishment, whether it be Walmart, Target, or anything like that, you can see there's things there that people are accessorizing on all fronts. Homes, their individual selves. I think tattoos and piercings can go into that. So why wouldn't the car be an item that they're going to accessorize, individualize, and make personal?
Such an extension of oneself, right?
Very much so. Think about it. We name our cars. We choose the colors of the car based on our preferences and our personalities. So yeah, I think the accessories are certainly an item that we got to grab a hold of.
Cool. And you've done a nice job building a top 5 list. So I'll have you start off with number 5.
So number 5 is seeing is believing. They've got to see and touch and feel this stuff. Like we have to have it open and available to them. And, I don't think that that's necessarily just the store.
Okay, so you're going beyond the traditional brick and mortar when you're saying see and feel, right?
Well, we definitely want them to be able to touch it and feel it, but I'm talking about more in lines with online stores.
Okay.
People are shopping. Think about it. If you're looking for something and you need it instantly, where are you going?
Amazon.
Yeah. I was going to use the coffee cup from Starbucks that we were talking about a few weeks ago, that we looked up on Amazon. But Amazon, eBay, online store, there has to be more. You have to get it open. They have to see that you have it. Oftentimes it becomes our best kept secret that we have accessories, but we tuck them away and hide them and push them to the back of the warehouse because we don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, I remember back when I was selling cars for like the first 7 years of my automotive career. I had a manager. He was so old fashioned, loved him, like smoked 7 packs of cigarettes a day. He could close any deal that needed to be closed. He always told me, he's like, if they can't see it, you can't sell it. Like it was his thing. And I think about that with accessories a lot, and seeing it online as having some sort of a catalog, right? And then in person, I think that you have to have some of these accessories out in the open for people to see.
Yeah, I think that just showing them, having them available that they can see, maybe even marketing might be a term that we might want to use there, but having the ability to have a storefront, whether it be eBay, Amazon, online, there's, a bunch of different ways to do that, but they have to be able to see it.
So as a parts manager, would you be trying to pair up with the sales department in terms of like letting people have some awareness about what you guys have as accessories?
I think if you're a parts manager and you're not involved in maybe your sales meetings, if you think about it, your salesmen are seeing more of those customers, and so you want to spend some time with them, get to know them, let them know of new accessories that have come out for the new models. Oftentimes the manufacturers are sending that stuff out even before the new model hits to the lot a lot of times. But I think a parts manager, for me, it was really, really important that I was involved in the sales meetings. I typically went in there Monday mornings and on Friday mornings because I knew the sales staff would be there. And we even did some games and had some fun with it. Maybe throw out some spiff money, whatever the case, you got to get them involved in it because they're seeing more of the customers.
Yeah, and it could be something as simple as, all season floor mats, or advanced as a set of tires and wheels, right? So there's no limit to what you can accessorize on a car. So no. I love that seeing, that seeing is believing thing. I think that's a great way to start out and build your accessory business for sure. What's number 4?
Well, that transitions us right into number 4. As far as seeing is believing, you got to see what's out there. So I do think that you're going to have to come out of the parts department and walk through the service drive, be involved in seeing what the customers are coming in and what they're driving, what they're accessorizing and what they're putting on there, so that it kind of gives you a better idea of what to stock, what to make available, what to focus on. There's a lot of things in my mind. I'm thinking about some of the manufacturers that have done the tents. I remember a long time ago, they had the tents where they hooked up to the back of the SUV and the hatch opened up inside the tent, so you didn't have to pull all your gear out of there. But now they're getting the ones where they're mounted on top. Like, it would be a great thing to spend some time in the service drive and see what customers are driving and what they have out there. And then that way you kind of know what to focus on.
Well, also too, not just the service department, but what about the sales department? What do the trades have on them?
Absolutely. You're going to want to walk the whole facility. As a parts manager, most of the time I was there before anybody else got to the store. That's typically the case. And if we took a poll, we would find that most parts managers are really early risers. Mm-hmm. They're at the store very early. I think we're just built that way. But yeah, walking the lot, seeing what's out there, seeing what you can add to the vehicles. Again, walking during the day, during the busier times, through the service department and watching the cars coming in and out of the service department. Even on the sales side, seeing your customers. Oftentimes you can kind of figure out what they're into just by the way that they dress and how they carry themselves, and maybe even what they're trading in.
Yeah, for sure. Either what they're trading in, or I mean, gosh, like we could be I can't tell you how many times, I mean, just to give you an idea of like just how much we miss the boat is I even remember asking people, I'd be like, oh, what are you going to do to your car? Oh, where are you going to go have that done at? Like, it had never occurred to me that we could be the place that they do the thing. Like, so much opportunity just kind of going out the window. But yeah, knowing what your market is putting on is great. I was in New York City a couple of months ago, and I was just blown away by the percentage of cars that had this thing called a bumper buddy or bumper bully, I think is what it was called. But it's like this really thick piece of rubber that goes on the back, because cars in New York City, like they're all packed in together and they ram into each other all the time. And like, it's way better to have the bumper bully on there, and then someone hit your bumper bully, then your car doesn't get damaged or anything like that. But all I could think of is, every second or third car had one of these bumper bullies on them. And all I could think of is if I had a parts department, I would have bumper bullies on everything. And how easy is that? To accessorize on a vehicle, but just that in itself is just one of many opportunities. I wouldn't have a car in the north and not sell all season mats on it. There's tons of stuff like that, but I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. The amount of accessory business that's out there. So it's good. We're up to number 3, which is a really, really good one, and it goes along with number 5, which is the kind of, if they can't see it, you can't sell it thing. But what's number 3, Cliff?
You kind of already hit on it a little bit with the buddy bumper. Is that what that was called?
Bumper bully, I think.
Bumper bully.
There might have been different names.
Yeah. So my number 3 is preloading them. Have that stuff already out there. Have it set up. They got to be able to see it, touch it, kind of envision it. If they can't do that, their imaginations are pretty limited. So you have to be able to have a great imagination, add the packages together, put them out there so that people can see it.
Okay, so you're putting preload kits on inventory cars.
Absolutely.
Do you do new cars and used cars?
I think that's a great avenue.
Okay, cool. What are some must-haves that you would put on a preload kit?
So I think wheel locks are a must right now. I think your slush mats, if you think about it, having them up north where the snow and salt and all that, having them down south where it's sandy, you have the red clay, there's different areas and avenues. I think that's very, very important. So those are 2 that I would stick in every car every time.
In the South, would you get alligator resistant mats or no?
I get alligator skin mats for the alligator that I'm going to catch.
With your bare hands.
With my bare hands. Yes.
I love it. That's so great. I think that, I've seen stores do things differently, but like where they've just loaded up the test drive and demo cars, but I've also seen it where people have preloaded the whole inventory. I don't know. I think you have to kind of figure out what's best for you, but 100%, I want people, especially those test drive cars, like I want them to see the customization and the way that they can kind of make their car their own. And all you got to do is give them tons and tons of options.
I think it's a unique thing where if you have the test drive car with, let's just, keep it simple at the moment, but let's talk about slush mats. If you had a test drive car with those slush mats in it, the customer gets in it and sees those mats, those rubber mats, and then they get into a car that doesn't. Maybe that's an avenue, but the contrast there, I think, is something to track and keep a hold of.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. I always think of is that you would accessorize 100% of your test drive cars. But what you're saying is that if you keep a car bone stock, you can actually kind of show people how special the accessorized car is. I never thought about that before, but I like where you're headed with that. That makes a lot of sense.
I've even seen them do it on the display in the showroom where I've had some parts managers put one half, like half the stuff on one side and half not. I think that's another really cool avenue to do it. You just got to figure out what's going to be work for your market, your store, and your customer. But I think putting that stuff out there that they can see it and touch it and feeling it, preloading it gives them really quick opportunity to increase sales. So I think that's a really, really smart thing to do.
So great. I love it. That's an awesome idea. All right. We're up to number 2, getting close to the top of this list.
Ooh. Number 2 broaden your horizons.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So I don't think that just your manufacturer is the only place to get accessories.
Although they'll tell you that.
For sure. And they're going to send them to you. So you'll already have them from them because they're going to send them to you whether you like it or not in most cases. But I think that there's so many companies out there that are making some really, really cool products and some really, really valuable products that would add a lot of value for your customer experience. I just think you're going to have to look and search different avenues because they're out there doing it. So I think when you were talking earlier, you said that you would often ask a customer, hey, what are you going to do to this car to individualize it and specialize it and make it your own? Maybe that's a good conversation to ask people where they got certain items for or from when they're coming in the service department, when you're making your trek through there, or even in the sales, or you know what, even out in public, maybe you could find out and see something and find it really, really.
Oh, it doesn't have to be at the dealership. That's a really good point.
No,
like it can be anywhere. You see something, how easy is it to take a note on your phone or whatever, where somebody got something, and they're always so proud to tell you.
Absolutely. Again, it's about them. It's speaking to something personal that they're really interested, that they're really passionate about. I think that that's the key to the whole thing. And you might find out there's some places and products out there that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, 100%. There's no doubt about that. There's stuff out there that people would like that we don't know for sure. But yeah, I think that, when you think about it, now the manufacturer does sometimes have really good rebates and stuff like that, where you get credits for the accessory purchases. And you should always be kind of, taking the opportunity to maximize those. It just doesn't have to be the only game in town.
No, I would say without question, certainly be in the game with your manufacturer, certainly understand the programs that are out there, and certainly be a good advocate for them and their products, but they don't have to be the only one out there. There's several manufacturers out there that don't offer a whole lot of accessories, that you have to go to other avenues. But I do think that there's something smart for a parts manager, at least for when I was in that chair. It was really, really important to me that I was a good friend to the OEM and to the manufacturer, and that I participated in a lot of the programs, but it doesn't have to be the only avenue.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. It's like you want the access to the stuff they've got, but it doesn't have to be the only store you shop at. Good stuff. So that brings us to our number one, which I think is the most impactful way to increase your accessory business. And what's that? Displaying
them in the showroom, in the customer waiting area, or both in the best case scenario, but having a showroom and an availability that the customer can see it, and having something really, really nice, maybe a dark background with a contrasting chrome and then displayed on that. Maybe you take your actual manufacturer color. A lot of the manufacturers have their own specific colors, color schemes. Maybe you contrast it there, but having something that's really eye appealing and something that's displayed there, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, what's really cool and eye appealing is, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I've seen some boutiques where they've got just color wise, it's super appealing just to kind of start, like the entrance to the boutique. This one place that I'm thinking of, they've got just a series of 3M wraps. So it's got a whole bunch of color swatches. It almost reminds me of going to shop for carpet, where you just kind of have all the different colors and the looks and like the most outrageous thing. But what a great way to kind of get you into the mode of accessories, is like using those bright colors and that way to do it. And I also think too, I was just curious what your thoughts are on it. I've seen way too many of them that are afterthoughts, and they're doing it because somebody told them they had to.
Yeah, and then they say, well, it didn't work and there was no value in it, but they didn't believe in it. And didn't want it. So I think you market to your area too. I was in a store recently in a very southern climate, I would say, that had a big display for their parts areas, and they were displaying Yeti coolers.
Yeah. Oh, so you're like in Brazil or Argentina, or maybe not that far south?
It wasn't that far south, but they had the Costa sunglass case. They had the lifestyle. They were promoting not only just the brand and the image for you, but to become part of the lifestyle, become part of the culture, become part of their club. I thought it was fantastic. Had multiple lines of shirts and hats that you could choose from for their brand, for their manufacturer. But the Yeti coolers was kind of cool because then you start envisioning yourself, hey, cooler's packed. I'm going on vacation. I'm going out of town. I'm going to need some sunglasses. Definitely going to need a hat because I'm going to be in the sun. Like there's that whole theme that they put out there.
Oh yeah. Yeti coolers, the Yeti coffee cups, like the cool cups. How hard is it? Yeah, how hard is it to put Hyundai on that? All that stuff's really easy. Chris always tells a story about, I don't know if you've heard him talk about it or not, but he when he was running Corvette BMW, his store was like one of the best at selling sunglasses. Yeah. Like it's just all that stuff that you don't think about it until you really recognize that your parts department is a retail space.
We look at it as a retail space, and the more I approach it as a retail space, the more I can see those incremental sales go up.
Yeah. So coolers, sunglasses, clothes, all that stuff can be a part number if you want it to be.
So I definitely think that there's something that I want to touch on that I've saw recently in a store that I was in. If you're not careful, the dust settles on that stuff and it looks like it's just been sitting there. So it would be really, really important in your display areas to make sure that stuff is dusted and cleaned off, rotated in and out for the customers that are coming in and seeing that stuff. They want to see the new stuff. Marketing that way, there's some businesses out there that their marketing thing is that they take their display, they move it into the aisle so that you have to walk up and down the aisle, which I think is genius. But maybe you could do it if you have shirts. Maybe you switch your shirts around and move them around. But I've seen a lot of display cases where, again, like you're saying, there's kind of afterthoughts. The parts department's put these display cases out there, and you can tell that the stuff's just been sitting there. It's dusty, it's dirty. Maybe it's sun faded because of the way it sits. Maybe the shelf is falling down. There's multiple things there, but I think if you're not rotating, not careful with keeping that clean, you're doing yourself an injustice, and you're not helping the process.
Yep. How we do anything is how we do everything, right?
For sure.
Okay. So recapping this list, you want to hit the top 5 one more time?
Top 5.
This is a top 5 ways to build your accessory business.
Yep. Number 5, we've got to show to sell. We've got to show them and display it. Number 4, we've got to see what's not there. We have to be involved in it and figure that out. Number 3 is preloading it. Let's load some stuff up. Number 2 is broaden your horizon. The manufacturer is not the only place to get accessories. You're going to have to think a little bit outside the box. And then number 1 is showroom, display, and boutiques.
Okay, so I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode, and this was a really fun discussion. And please look at accessories as a way to expand, broaden, and improve your profit margins in your parts business. So we'll see you next time on Parts Hold.